Welcome to the world of HeroQuest, a place unlike any other. Today we're diving into a massive package sent over by Deathforge Games, MegaQuest Awakened, all-in-one collector's edition. This is a premium RPG-style campaign expansion and miniature set designed to integrate directly with your favorite dungeon crawlers, specifically your HeroQuest core system, which is required to play. This entire all-in-one bundle is manually handcrafted and hand-assembled for dedicated hobbyists. At its core, MegaQuest is a fan-made expansion that takes your traditional dungeon crawlers and transforms them into a rich, immersive journey. It acts as a storytelling toolkit that blends the best elements of a tabletop RPG with the fast-paced action of a board game. What truly sets MegaQuest apart is how it pushes players beyond the dungeon and into a living world filled with exploration, danger, and opportunity. There's a lot of content in this hefty box, so stick around to see what this collector's edition can do for you and your HeroQuest homebrew. This is the Fair Weatherman. Welcome back to the channel. The materials in this box provide the tools to create deeper, more customizable heroes through the universal character card system. By spending mana points, players can modify their characters and distribute points across 6 disciplines to shape abilities and unlock powerful skills tailored to their playstyle. Between quests, players travel using the world deck. You'll encounter random events, side quests, and memorable NPCs. Some characters may offer training if you prove worthy, while others act as merchants, quest givers, or even hireable mercenaries, adding tension and unpredictability to every journey. When combat erupts beyond the dungeon walls, players deploy 2 double-sided 8x8 landscape tiles to battle across beautifully illustrated biomes. Throughout the adventure, heroes will uncover hidden treasures, survive wild hazards, and discover clues, leading to mysterious dungeons and greater challenges ahead. And most noteworthy, this expansion comes with 3D printed miniatures. There's a lot to look at, so let's start unpacking the goods. Let's get into this. At first glance of the artwork, it's very reminiscent of the old school Hanna-Barbera art style. Really brings me back to my childhood. I find it really works well for a product like this. Some more artwork, really cool. This right here reminds me of the Gargoyles animated television show from the early 90s. So one thing you'll notice now, it's different from when he started producing this box set, is it now comes with the miniatures. Initially, when this expansion released, it came with an empty box, and you'd have to go and purchase your miniatures from, I believe, Miniatures 3D. Now he actually has them printed and included in the box. So that's what makes this unboxing different from previous unboxings that we've seen online already. There's a lot of cards in here. Here's our campaign book. Inside it's going to dive deep into all of the things that make this expansion unique. At the heart of the experience are the campaign's 10 text-rich quests, where traditional RPG mechanics blend seamlessly with dungeon crawling adventures. You see the layouts, you see the story, just like we see in the classic HeroQuest style, and notes. And there's 10 of them included right here. And then you have other fan-made expansion titles in here. And you can also check out his website and the Discord. All ways to contact Deathtone, ask questions, and dive deeper into this product. I really appreciate Deathtone for sending me a copy of this to review on the channel. So as you can see, there's a lot of card included in this game box. And I haven't even opened them up yet, so let's take a look at them now together. So these encounter cards are all specific to a game tile, actually 2 game tiles that are included in the box. Let me get those out. So here we have 2 8x8 beautifully drawn and printed. I mean, this stuff is rather thick. Tiles that you would play out these encounters throughout this game system. So as you can see in this first example of the stronghold, the flavor text says, an ancient tomb lies hidden, but orcs have found it first, taking up a defensive positions. Orcs have +2 defense and +1 attack while in the stronghold. So you have plan A and plan B, fight the orcs and loot the tomb. You have a reward there, and you have plan B, sneak away. So you would use these tiles, you would play out that scenario. So it does provide you an opportunity to get away from the classic HeroQuest game board. And as you can see, there are a ton of these cards, all with flavor text and unique scenarios that you would draw upon. You also have 5 hero cards included in the box, each where you would draw up with those mana points, your specific character stats, and then on the back side where you'd use a dry erase marker to keep track of your skills, your gold, your experience points, inventory, and spells. I really like this idea because it is reusable and not paper. And so it is stated that you can take any of your heroes that we have existing in the HeroQuest universe and drop them into the system and expand upon them in new and unique ways. We also have our quest deck. This is where you're going to get the specific objectives that your heroes are going to have to complete while rummaging through the dungeon. We have save the animals. That's fun. That's unique. Stop poachers and protect the wildlife sanctuary. Location, the rooted maw and the forest. And then we have rewards here, 100 gold for each animal saved. Draw 1 equipment card, +1 to acrobatics. So really neat. Different style of quests that we wouldn't typically see in HeroQuest. We have bounty. We're going to chase after Grak, the goblin sheaf. We have relic of the forgotten god. Find my spell book. Grove of darkness. So there's a number of these that will keep your party busy for quite a while. MegaQuest also introduces a completely new roster of custom heroes, introducing 15 classes like the Blade Warrior, Rogue, and Shaman. Using the 5 universal hero cards as character sheets, players can completely customize their builds. You can distribute points into 6 core disciplines: Brawn, Acrobatics, Luck, Mental, Faith, and Ritual, while unlocking 20 new skill sets and 20 powerful spells to perfectly suit your playstyle. Here are some of the skills that you can choose from, and there are quite a number of them. There's a whole slew of special abilities here. We have the earth element, the water element. These actually have miniatures that I'll show you here in a minute. Summons undead. The artwork is very colorful and created by artists. So here are the elemental cards: the water element, the fire element, the earth, and then we have the mechanical golem. Here is the giant stack of NPCs that you'll encounter throughout the expansion. We have things like Jacob Timber. His keen intellect makes him a valuable source of insight into ancient lore and distant lands. I like that it's a lot of different varieties of maybe townsfolk that you would see on your journey, men and women. So this system is very comprehensive. There's a lot to it. A lot of stuff that you can tell the creator really thought long and hard about. The tarot cards do provide a lot larger space to flesh out some of these special abilities and spells, as well as the NPCs. I mean, we've only looked at a couple of the decks right now. Here's another giant deck of just scenarios, right? Just places, locations that your heroes would wander off into, which is really unique. I mean, I don't recall any other homebrew system that utilizes this much depth to its game system, bringing you to really cool lands that get you out of the dungeon. I think that's one thing that's really cool about this system, is it gets you up and out of the dungeon and into more role-playing. If you feel like the nature of going from one dungeon to the next is kind of shallow after a while, well, you can utilize this game system and really add some more depth to your gameplay with your friends as you sit around and play. To challenge your heroes, you get the MegaQuest Monster Pack, a 42 card tracking and automated AI deck. The designer included monster cards matching the base game, including greenskins and undead sets, so you can track multiple active entities simultaneously. The front of each card features built-in dry erase tracking circles for mind and body points, base stats, and special abilities like retreat, scavenge, or small. So if I was GMing, I can take any one of these monsters from the HeroQuest game system and make it unique to that specific quest. And so that breaks up the monotony of playing the same monsters with the same stats. And so you do get a lot of the cards to customize multiple enemies at once. But I feel like you might not need as many cards. I mean, just looking at the Goblin alone, we have, quite a number of them, 6 of them. So maybe there'll be a homebrew scenario that you create 6 different goblins with 6 different stats and different names, and maybe you go after and hunt each one of them down and take back the treasure they stole from your kingdom. But I don't know if it's necessary to have this many. I might want to make one goblin a more dangerous boss enemy, and so maybe I would customize a stat for one of them, but I just can't imagine doing 6, and that's just me. But you get this same repetitive nature in all the cards. So here we have another, there's like 8 orcs here that you can customize out to be different. Maybe if you streamline this down to 2 of each monster type, you can cut the cost back and the amount of cards required in the expansion. You have skeletons, zombies, really cool art. I like it. I think it's unique to this game system, but also is reminiscent to the HeroQuest system. For solo or cooperative play without a game master, the back of each card features an innovative automated AI system. A simple D6 roll on these behavior tables instantly dictates enemy actions, extra actions, and movement, making combat feel dynamic and unpredictable. Furthermore, the game features a color-coded monster level chart for dynamic scaling. It automatically scales monsters' difficulty based on the highest base stats of your party's heroes, ensuring the end game remains tough. You also get a dedicated Zargon card acting as a boss or GM representation with customized stats and unique abilities like Summon and Magic Attack, alongside 5 handy reference cards and a link to the official MegaQuest Discord server. So as you can see here, every time a hero kills a monster, they gain experience points equal to its max body points. So if a monster has 2 body points, the party gains 2 experience at the end, and they'll disperse them out throughout the party. So spend the experience points on character upgrades listed on the chart on this card. And like I said, I think there's a lot to this expansion. It's real deep. It's really thought out. You can tell Death Tone spent a lot of time fleshing out all of the worlds and all of the ways to take HeroQuest and kind of level up its gameplay just a little bit. This expansion, I believe, is retailing around $120. You do get a ton of miniatures here, which we're about to get into, but I do feel like, dropping that price back a little bit, if we can cut down on some of the cards, would help and maybe entice a few more people to dive into this system. Moving on to my favorite part are the physical miniatures. This collector's edition now includes 30 high-detailed miniatures made from hand-cast resin. Unlike mass-produced retail PVC plastic, hand-cast resin offers significantly sharper detail retention, making it absolutely optimal for hobby painters who want their figures to stand out on the table. As someone who paints older models and resin alike, they have a one-drop rule. My 30-year-old mass-manufactured classics will survive a tumble, but these minis will not. And it's no fault of the creator, it's just the nature of the material. But don't worry, Death Tone has future-proofed your game. You also receive an STL file download code. This gives permanent digital ownership of the source 3D files for all miniatures, allowing for custom scaling and 3D printing backup armies forever. So let's carefully get into these miniatures. Here we go. First one out of the box. Look at this giant earth element, I believe. I think this is the earth element. Very cool. Look at it compared to our dwarf. I mean, just massive. Okay, that's really cool. I like that. Let's compare it to the artwork. So here we have our earth element, artwork, and miniature right here. Like I said, at one point you would have to pre-order these off Minis 3D, and now they're included within the expansion, which is really cool. And we also get, looks like we get 2 of them in the box. Looks like we have 2 of the water elements right here. Very scorpion-like appearance with the tail. So if you are an avid painter, there's a lot of detail to this. I think about a year ago I saw a video on HeroQuest, and he was talking about the miniatures, and they weren't this high quality with detailed resin, so I'm really impressed. The last 2 we have our fire element. There it is. You can see its face here buried within the flames. So these would look really cool painted up. I mean, compare it to, say, the gargoyle. It's massive. So I can definitely see utilizing these miniatures when your heroes cast a spell. I've always liked the idea of getting a 3D printed miniature that would represent the fire being cast or the water being cast. All right, let's get into this other box. So your minis will come protected within the bubble wrap as well as this case. So we can go through these one by one. Be very careful with some of these. You can tell the resin's flimsy. Very detailed. So like I said, you want to be very careful with some of these pieces. Some real fragile knives, but maybe having them a little bit thicker would create more of a longevity, because I'd be afraid if I painted these up and spent all the time doing so that they might break. I'm not sure who sculpted these up. Maybe it was Pablo. Definitely added a little bit extra in the top heavy assets on some of these miniatures. This is, I think, the mechanic, which is really neat. Remember seeing that from the artwork. We have a thief. That's bags of gold that's running off with. There's a lot of really fragile areas on these miniatures that I would be a little nervous about, like the pipe here. I mean, these are resin printed, so you couldn't do the hot water test to get them to bend back. Don't think that's how it works with resin. Looks like a shaman, maybe? Have a skull on top of a staff here. All right, so we get our first orc out of the box. There we go. This one's really cool. Holding the head of a serpent or a dragon of some sort. It's a bow and an arrow on the back. Okay. We have maybe one of the blade warriors or the bladesmiths that was included. And I'm not sure what this expansion retailed before the miniatures were included. I'm sure the price definitely had to have doubled. There was definitely a lot of time taken to make sure that these are very comprehensive in the art style as well as the miniature. It's very Warhammer Quest here. I mean, this mini here I would use in Advanced HeroQuest. That's a really cool mini. The giant shield on its back and a spear in its hand. I like that one. And this one feels a little bit more sturdier than some of the other ones. Here's our Berserker. Here's the Golem. Okay, and that one, you would have your mechanic controlling it. I might get a couple golems. I think this is another one here. Yeah, here's another one. Yep, 2 golems. They look to be exactly the same. There's two in this one right here. All right. Oh, these are neat. We have two of the giant wolves. But those are cool. I like those. So you won't have to use your wolves from Mage of the Mirror. Another warrior here. He looks rather tall too compared to, say, the thief. All right, two more to go. Okay, this guy, thought it was broken at first, but I don't think so. I think it's a hero holding a bomb, which is kind of cool. Last but not least, another warrior. So it's such a thin piece of resin. I don't know if there's much you can do about that. I almost feel like they need to go back to the drawing board and thicken up some of these pieces. Because that doesn't look very frightening. It's like the Zargon melted his blade and it's just bending over like Laffy Taffy. Alright, so I will say there are a handful of really cool miniatures in here. I mean, they're all nice, but I do feel like some of them should be updated on the STL just to make sure that they will last. And if I was to spend the time to paint them up, that I'd have them on my shelf for years and they wouldn't fall apart or just, you know, look melted. Because of this module design, MegaQuest gives you infinite flexibility. You can mix and match components to build your ideal campaign, swap out quest cards to suit your party's style, or effortlessly blend the mechanics into official quest books or your own fan-made custom adventures. Before you order, just keep one quick manufacturing and shipping detail in mind. Because these high-detailed resin miniatures and components are entirely handcrafted and manually assembled to order, the set requires a 7-day production lead time before the item actually ships out. A huge thank you to Deathtone from Deathforge Games for sending this over. It's a phenomenal, comprehensive enhancement that breathes new life into the tabletop world and makes digging deeper into the thematic roleplay easy and meaningful. If you've made it this far into the video, I want to send you a heartfelt thank you. I strive to bring you my very best with each and every video, and it would mean a lot if you let me know your thoughts on MegaQuest in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want to see more HeroQuest homebrew content, hit that like button and consider supporting my channel by buying me a coffee. As always, danger, you will soon discover, lurks in every shadow. Come, let the quest begin.